terrorism. But sadly, for the Jewish people, it's not new. This attack has brought to the surface painful memories and the scars left by a millennia of anti-Semitism and genocide of the Jewish people. So in this moment, we must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel.
I lived in the Middle East for 4 years. The world watches more what the President of the United States doesn't say than does. He didn't promise to hold Iran responsible for the safety of American and Israeli hostages in Gaza. He didn't demand Qatar turn over the leader of Hamas, who lives in a luxury villa there. Democratic strategist Kurt Bardella is here. He also said, and this struck me as odd, demanding that Israel act within international law. Considering that the Israelis are the victims here, I thought that was perhaps unnecessary.
I mean, I think what the president is trying to ensure that the same atrocities that we've seen happen to the people of Israel doesn't happen in their retaliation, I guess.
He's creating the same moral equivalence of Ilhan Omar and others. Palestinian residents of West Bank have scarcely better lives than Gazans, the routine destruction of their ancestral homes, blah, 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 blah. Cori Bush. As part of achieving a just and lasting peace, we must do our part to stop violence and trauma by ending U.S. government support for Israeli occupation and apartheid. Where is the President of the United States saying that the military might of the United States is going to protect our most important ally in the Middle East?
Well, I think that that's not something he can actually really say right now, because, again, if we're going to actually commit to military might and force, that's going to require an act of Congress, which can't happen right now because there's no Speaker of the House.
First of all, no, he has the War Powers Act for 30 days, and the Senate's out too. I don't understand the sort of tiptoeing around everything, the unwillingness to call Iran out for what it's done. What's going on here?
I think that we're in the very, very early stages of this. I mean, let's be very clear here. The fact that this happened is a massive failure of intelligence. I mean, the fact that this happened and everyone was caught off guard is a colossal. It feels like we're playing catch up, or that we're behind the 8 ball, just as a country, as a global community.
Israel is as well.
Period.
Fine.
Like everyone is. And so I think given the uncertainty and the not knowing, I think everyone is being a lot more cautious right now because there's just so much that we don't know.
Right, but there's a lot of things this administration could do, right? You could refreeze the $6 billion. You could say until these hostages are returned to Iran, you're not getting your money. On and on. There's all sorts of things that the president seems unwilling. Is it just he doesn't want to admit he was wrong on Iran?
I don't think it's about being wrong. I think it's about, listen, when you don't go too far, that means you still can go further. Like, there are still options on the table to escalate. If you just go right out of the gate and go full force right away, there's no going back from that. Like, that you are 100% committed. So this might be a keeping your options open to a gradual escalation. That's not off the table right now. And I think ultimately that's what's going to end up having to happen anyway.
Well, it very well might, depend. I mean, the counter argument, right, is that if you go all the way, if you go full crazy, people back off. And at least what I learned there. And look, the Israelis don't have a choice. They have to go all the way, all the way in. One thing that I think is interesting in this sort of discussion, and I think we can't lose sight of the fact that life in Gaza is an absolute hell. Mm-hmm. That's the fault of Hamas. It's the fault of Tehran
100%.
That does this. In all of the talking points about it, though, the people who are always left out is the Egyptians. Yeah. Because the Egyptians could open humanitarian corridors.
You're right.
Why is the left so resonant to ever put pressure on another Arab state and so quick to put pressure on Israel over Gaza?
Because it's like this false equivalency game, frankly, that the left always plays. I mean, and this is, and you are 100% right, by the way, to call this out, because it's 100% true, that there is a double standard that gets played here, that they are unwilling to try to hold the Egyptians to the same standard they want to hold everyone else to, and it just undermines.
Or the Israelis. They don't hold Iran.
Well, and it's like they're not holding anyone to the same standard,
except Israel.
And it creates a very real problem, I think, with their credibility in calling for any particular acts. Like, listen, if you're going to start calling for crazy stuff, then you better hold everyone to your crazy standard. If you're unwilling to do that, shut the hell up.
All right. Well, hard to add anything to that. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.